I'm going to start with the tournament fact sheets. Now, if you're unfamiliar with these, you can go to the gcsaa.org. So this acronym right up here, the gcsaa.org. Scroll to the bottom of the page, you're going to see a link that says tournament fact sheets. And it'll give you all these years that you can select. Well, obviously, we want to select 2023. And you're going to see the most recent tournament at the top of the list. Here we have the Memorial Tournament, and what I like about these tournament fact sheets is it gives you data points to research. That's essentially what this is for. You know, you can look at par 72s. We can look at golf courses that are 7,500 yards and greater, or somewhere between 74 and 7,600 yards. Totally up to you. You can also look at average green size. Any amount of this information can be used for your own research, however you see fit. I don't really necessarily care all that much. If they had the stimp meter here like they usually do, I imagine it's going to roll around 12, 12 and a half, 13. I would like to use that because I want to know golfers who are playing on faster greens, who putts better on faster greens. Also, I want to know golfers playing between, let's just say like 7,500 and 7,600 yards. Or if you want to get a little wider than that, 74 to 76. I think that's fine. I would use that as a data point. And if you want like some kind of weighting system, I don't think anything on here is more than 5 points, you know, in your models, if you're running models. Altogether, I don't think you should go more than 10 points. So if you wanted to do par 72s that are 74 to 7,600 yards, where there's, you know, 60 or more bunkers, 13 more water hazards, all of this should just be minimal in your research. I do believe looking at the greens being bent grass, also the approaches, tees, and rough. So we have a bluegrass rye fescue mix. It's a typical northern American golf course. That's what we have all over the place. Doesn't matter if you're in Iowa, Minnesota, Ohio, apparently, maybe New York, you're going to have this type of rough. So basically anything north of, can't even remember like the, what it's called on the map. Well, let's just say Ohio, if you just draw a straight line across the United States, Ohio and up, any tournament that's played there, you're most likely going to see bent grass greens with Kentucky bluegrass rye fescue rough. And that's kind of, I mean, you're going to use bent grass for sure. I think that's what you should use with your research. When it comes to rough, yeah, you can use it too. I guess there's no big issue with that, but you don't have to. Maybe just use bent grass. That's all that I'm using. So if I go back to my cheat sheet that's available for you, the only grass I have in here is bent. So we're looking at total events, overall bent grass, average finishing position. It should just be average finishing position on bent grass from 2013. Top 10 bent percentage. This is their success rate of finishing inside the top 10 on bent grass golf courses. And then 1 full year's worth of bent grass. That's all available to you on the cheat sheet. And that's exactly what I look at when using these tournament fact sheets. Now, you can also look at some additional notes down here. Is there anything that really pops out? New tees have been added on number 16 and number 17. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Area has seen a lot of back and forth spring weather with cooler temperatures. So basically that's just telling you the grass hasn't had a lot of optimal growing conditions. That's all that I read from that. And to me, that means the golf course isn't as lush as it probably should be at this time. That's all that I'm reading from that. Because usually if you're saying cooler temperatures, that's going to be one of your main things you put on the additional notes. Just tell me there's not optimal growing weather. So that just means grass isn't as thick. That might be reading too much into it, but spent a lot of time on golf courses working with the superintendents. I also went to school, had to take a few agronomy classes. That's how grass operates. So I'd be really interested in it being not as thick as it usually is. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. Again, nothing more on total when it comes to the you know, this page with the data points, then 10 points in your model. Like that's it. Just 10% importance. And the rest of the stuff I don't really see is that big of a deal, honestly. Your architect is Jack Nicklaus, so if you want to use Jack Nicklaus as your architect, you know, research, go for it. You know, Jack's going to make golf courses very similar. Most architects do. It might not be an exact copy of another Jack Nicklaus golf course, but there's going to be his quote-unquote signature that's going to apply to most of the courses. He likes golfers hitting fades. He hits a fade more often in his golf courses. He requires you to hit fades on certain shots versus other shots. Again, that's not an end-all be-all. That's just a data point, right? It's just a data point. So that's what I like to look at with the tournament fact sheets. Now, talking about fades and draws, I have that in the cheat sheet. In column P, I have fades and draws. And I just give you what I see as their preferred shot shape. What I've either heard them say, a broadcast say, what my eyeballs tell me, or anything that maybe I have read. I have their preferred shot shape in the cheat sheet. Now, just to go over that in a little different way, I also usually I have a description that goes along with the holes. I didn't have time to do it this week. I have what I see as the beneficial shot shape. It's a preferred shot shape. It's not a like an end all be all if you don't have the shot shape. But because we're playing DraftKings golf or FanDuel, whatever you're doing, we want to look at what's the best ability for our golfers to make birdies, to make eagles. So that's what I have with preferred shot shape. Really nothing off the tee is preferred. You could almost get away with, I mean, I'm showing you can get away with any shot shape off of the tee. When it comes to approach, different story. Looks like the golf course was designed for a shot shaper in mind. So there are 5 draws and 6 fades that I see as preferred shot shapes. Now, this is just to access the hardest pin on the hole, because the PGA Tour is going to have 4 different pins on the green. Some of these greens are, you know, a smooth side on one and then kind of like an inlet to another. Well, getting the ball to that inlet, like that back position, you're going to have to shape a shot into that position, or you just go for the middle of the green. But because this is DraftKings and we're trying to get birdies, we're trying to get eagles, I put the preferred shot shape up there. So it looks like there's a pretty equal amount of fades, draws, and any type of shot shape. So take that for what it's worth. I like to look at, you know, I have a sheet. This is mine, but again, you can see the same stuff on the cheat sheet. I want to find golfers who can basically shape shots in both directions. Like I have Sahith Theegala down here as both. I think a lot of these guys I could probably switch to both, but you know, Sung Jae hits a pretty straight ball, so him having a fade might be a little outdated. Jason Day has introduced a fade into his golf swing. His normal shot is a draw though, so I could probably put both for him. Victor, I'm just gonna have fade. I really don't see him hitting a draw. Same goes with Colin. Same goes with Xander. I don't really see him hitting more than a draw. Callie can kind of do both. Rory does both, but not super great. Like, I never really see him hitting a fade in the fairway. Like off the tee, when he goes to his fade, just doesn't work as well as his draw does. But he tries to do both. So take that for what it's worth. I've seen Rom hit both types of shot shapes. Scotty primarily hits a fade though. I know he can draw the golf ball, but if you just watch him off the tee, everything moves left to right. So that's kind of how I would look at it when it comes to shot shapes. Now, if you want me to give you like a weighting distribution for this, it's like 2 points. Out of 100, the importance for me on this is 2 points. It's not an end all be all. It is just a tiebreaker. So keep that in mind. Now, that kind of is more on the golf course front. Let's talk about the tournament a little bit. So there are 120 golfers in the field. you're on the cheat sheet, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see it goes down to line 121 or line 122, but there are 2 lines here for headers. So that means 120 golfers. 120 golfers in the field. Our strength of field 725. That's pretty good. That's a tough strength of field. This is an elevated event, so you're going to have a lot of good golfers here. And you can already see the names. You can see the OWGR. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't remember who's number 6, but he's obviously not here. We have 7, 8. I don't know who number 9 or 10 is. But we have a lot of the top named golfers in this event. So, another data point you can use in your research, strength of field. I do kind of the old school strength of field. It's kind of my own touch on it. There are things called home field advantage that I don't incorporate into the strength of field points. So, like the FedEx Cup will use like an additional bonus for the golfer's preferred tour, giving the top guys from last year a little bit of a bonus, or the top guys from this year a little bit of a bonus. I've just done away with that. I'm looking at OWGR and FedEx Cup points from last year, and that's what's creating the strength of field rating. So if you, I don't know, it's pretty close. I'm usually within 7 points of what the old rating used to be. So do with that as you will. But again, a data point nonetheless. I believe it's top 65 in ties. PGA Championship was obviously a major. That was top 70 in ties. Most of these tournaments on the PGA Tour now are top 65 in ties. I didn't double check that before saying, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. 120 golfers, meaning the majority are going to make the cut, technically, which should help you in building lineups that get 6 to 6 through the cut. Now, I said that during the Charles Schwab Challenge, but a lot of popular golfers missed the cut, and 6 to 6 wasn't as high as predicted. I mean, I believe it was higher than the PGA Championship, but it wasn't as high as I think some of us felt it was going to be. So that's basically the rest that I have for the tournament information. I don't have anything else to really provide other than the strength of field, the number of golfers in the field. I guess one other thing I can talk about is the winning score year to year. Minus Patrick Cantlay in 2019, it looks like it hovers around, like 12 under par, give or take a few. So Horschel won it at 13 under par, Cantlay won it at 13, Rahm won it at 9. Again, we had Cantlay in 2019 at minus 19. Bryson won it at minus 15. Duffner the year before that, minus 13. We have minus 15, minus 15, minus 13, minus 12 with the remaining years. So that can be a data point as well, looking for winners between, I would say, maybe 12 or 13 under. I would say 12 under to 15 under. I think that's a perfect number to kind of go in between. And then we can also look at our cuts. So the cut in 2013 was 3 over. Cut in 2014 was even. 1 under in 2015. 2 under in 2016. 3 over in 2017. Basically, these guys didn't make the cut, so we're taking the number before it. So obviously that would be 3 over there. This would be 2 under. So yeah, it looks like a lot of our cuts are right around even. It fluctuates up to -1 and it goes as high as 3 over. So I would then probably look at even to 1 over par being cuts and seeing which golfers do the best, give you kind of a safety play when it comes to which golfers to choose. It might be more of a balanced type of thought process when building lineups this week, because I think just having a cut maker or golfers that are good at making cuts on hard golf courses is going to be a little bit more beneficial than trying to go stars and scrubs. But we'll see what it looks like when we get to lineup building tomorrow during the strategy video. That covers the tournament in golf course information.